Hello everybody and welcome back to my booktube channel. My name is Kat and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout or mid-year freakout tag, whatever it's called. So starting last month, I saw so many creators making this video. A lot of my favorites have made it. Katie is Reading made it. Sarah Crowley made it. I think Destiny Sidwell made one, or maybe she didn't. No, I think she did. Anyways, all my fave book girlies have made one, and I think it is definitely my turn to hop on here and tell you guys how I'm doing so far this year and what things are looking like for me. So of course, first things first, let's talk about some stats. So far this year, I have read 43 books. I'm 5 books ahead of schedule to meeting my reading goal of 75 books this year. Yeah, at the beginning of this year, some goals that I set for myself were to read a couple classics and read some more nonfiction. I have not read any classics, but I have read some nonfiction, so that's awesome. To get into the questions, just to preface, a lot of these I couldn't just pick one answer for because I've read 43 books this year and a lot of them I really enjoyed, or a lot of them I had a lot of thoughts, opinions, and feelings about. So far, out of the 43 books I've read this year, I've given 17 of them 5 stars. So obviously that means I have a lot of books to cover in this video, especially when we're breaking down things into categories. So the most loaded question of all is right at the beginning here with what is the best book you've read so far in 2023? Obviously, like I said, could not just pick one for this. So, sorry, I took some notes here because I knew I was gonna get frazzled. By far, the #1 book that I read this year is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I am obsessed with this book. I could think about this book all day long. I could talk about this book all day long. It is beautifully written. I love Christina Lauren, but specifically this book just really takes the cake. It is the sweetest love story. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you probably know that I am not a huge childhood friends to lovers or friends to lovers fan. I actually usually don't read books that have that premise because it's not something I'm interested in at all. But this book is literally a childhood friends to lovers, second chance romance, things I don't like, and it's the best book I've probably read in honestly my entire life. I'm obsessed with this book. I recommend this book to everybody. If you like romance, rom-com, drama, if you like any kind of book, literally just give this a chance. It's so good. Macy and Eli are everything to me, and the way this book made me forgive things that I would never forgive in a man, because it was so real and so you just get it, you understand. Please read this book, please. Just to give a brief overview, if you don't know what this book is about, it's about Macy and Elliot who grow up near each other and in their teenage years develop kind of a romance. It's their first love, really. And all of a sudden, Macy and Elliot never speak again until 10 years later. They kind of run into each other out of nowhere, and they're forced to confront all of the feelings that they felt 10 years ago when they stopped talking. And throughout the entire book, you have no idea what led them to stop talking, and at the end, it obviously all comes to a head, and it's just such a good book. I love this book so much. Another book that I want to mention is The Serpent and Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. That book really surprised me, and definitely my favorite, and it's definitely my favorite fantasy read of the year. I sped through that book. I have an entire vlog about reading that book. If you guys want to go check it out, I'm gonna link it up here. It's so good. That book was all over TikTok at the beginning of the year, and it was hyped up for a reason. If you like vampires, if you like ACOTAR, check it out. You're gonna love it for sure. Next question is the best sequel I've read so far, and to be honest, haven't read a lot of sequels. I do plan on reading the sequel to The Serpent and the Wings of Night, or The Wings and the Serpent. The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I do plan on reading the sequel to that book. I just have not gotten there yet. But I'm not a huge sequel lover, to be honest. I tend to kind of fall off unless it's Sarah J. Maas, but I haven't read any of her sequels this year. So the book that I chose for this is Play With Me by Becca Mack, and Play With Me is a hockey romance, best friends or brother's best friend, kind of like Grumpy Sunshine, but the girl is grumpy romance book. I read it, literally it was the first book that I read this year, so that tells you how many sequels I've read. But Becca Mack is an incredible author. If you like Wattpad-y romance, but grown up, mature romance that doesn't feel like YA writing like Wattpad does, Play With Me, chef's kiss. So good. I know a lot of people have talked about it, but I think it is slightly like niche because it is a hockey romance. But if you haven't heard about it, totally go check it out. You're gonna love Becca Mack. You're gonna want to read all of her books, which there are only 2 so far, but more on Becca Mack coming up. So let's talk about some books I haven't read yet. The next question is the new release I have not read yet, but want to. I've got a couple of those. So got Happy Place by Emily Henry. Heard a lot of people talking about it as soon as it released, but it's quieted down. I also have not seen any reviews about it other than some people saying it made them really happy and it wasn't very romance, but it was really good quality writing, and it was as if Emily Henry like took a step up and elevated. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't like hardcover books though, so I'm kind of waiting for my library to have it in an ebook version, or I'll buy the paperback if it takes me that long to read it, which let's pray to God it does not take me like 2 years to read this book. Next up, this is a re-release, but I'm gonna count it, and that is Addicted for Now by Krista and Becca Ritchie. If you've heard, the Addicted series so far has been a big fat 1 star for me. I've honestly hated it. But everybody on booktube says they love this series, and I want to get it. I want to understand the hype so bad. So I am dedicated to finishing this series out, and I will be purchasing the new cover re-release of Addicted for Now, so that way I can either keep talking my shit or I can shut up and accept the fact that Lily and Lo are apparently a great couple, even though I don't think they are. Another book that I really look forward to reading is Fourth Wing. I think that's a new release, or it's just recently been really hyped up. Everybody's talking about it. It's on my TBR for the month, so hopefully we get to that. I am notoriously bad at keeping up with new releases though, so this next question is a tough one because it's most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and the only thing that I could really think of is Unravel Me by Becca Mack, the author I mentioned previously. She's coming out with the 3rd installment in her Playing for Keeps series, which includes Play With Me, Consider Me, and then Unravel Me, which will be about Adam. And she says that the book is coming this summer. I signed up for the ARC, but I don't think I got it. But she says the book is coming out this summer. There's not an official release date yet, but I'm super, super looking forward to that because anything Becca Mack writes, I will read it immediately. So, super excited for that one. Crescent City 3 is coming out in January, so I thought I'd include that. I love Crescent City. Crescent City was the first book I ever read by Sarah J. Maas, my first fantasy book I'd read since I was in 7th grade. I really jumped in. Like, I fully went for it because that is not a beginner book. So, but I'm so excited. Crescent City is one of my favorite series. It's honestly, all of Sarah J. Maas is really tied for me. I mean, ACOTAR is obviously #1, but like, I don't know. Super excited though. Heartstopper 5 is supposed to be coming out sometime relatively soon, and I'm looking forward to that. I just read Heartstopper though, so. Getting back into books that I have picked up and read so far this year, my biggest surprises. So the first one would be Normal People by Sally Rooney. I fully went into this book thinking that I was gonna be like, literally whatever, like okay. I adored this book. I did make a video on it. I'm gonna link it up here talking about it and all my favorite quotes from it. This book is heartbreaking. It is about miscommunication between 2 people who kind of intertwine in each other's lives, and it just discusses like, I don't even know where to begin. Like, I can't even explain this book, but it's a short book, so if you're looking for something short, like maybe an airplane, no, you're gonna cry on an airplane. You will cry if you read this book and you are in any way relatable to these characters, but please read Normal People. Next up, a book I already talked about was The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. That book really surprised me and I loved it. For fave new author, Carissa Broadbent is gonna get her hat trick here because, like I said, loved her book and I look forward to reading more. Becca Mack, who I've also mentioned, adore her. I read her first book in December of last year, and then I read her second book in January of this year, and like I said, I'm looking forward to her third book coming soon. And then Megan Brandy, which I haven't read anything else by her, but I read Say You Swear in February, and I loved that book. If you haven't heard about it, my cat is like doing yoga over here. I read Say You Swear in February, and I really enjoyed that book. If you haven't heard of it, it is a football romance, but it doesn't have that much to do with football. It's just kind of like a football romance. It's more, I would just generalize it as a college romance. It's about found family, and there's like a love triangle, and it's interesting. There's a lot that goes on in that book, but I loved it, and I think Megan Brandy's writing really shined in like the later third of that book. So I'd be excited to see what she wrote after Say You Swear, to see if things like progressed. Okay, newest fictional crush. Garrett Graham. I love Garrett Graham. Garrett Graham is everything to me. This book, this is just one of those books that just makes you like giddy, like you want to just like kick your feet and giggle. Like, that's how Garrett Graham makes me feel. He is, I love. Elle Kennedy, I read every single book in the Off-Campus series. I also have a video on that. What don't I have a video on? But if you haven't read the Off-Campus series, I would recommend this book. The series overall is good, but if you're gonna read any part of the Off-Campus series, the deal is like where you're gonna get your peak. Like, this is as good as it's gonna get. Garrett Graham is a hockey player, kind of a bad boy, and he needs a tutor, and he meets Hannah, and I don't know, it's like a fake dating, kind of, but it's like a fake dating for her to try and get popular, but like not really. Like, that is like barely skims the surface of the tropes in this book. But I adore this book. It literally made me watch Breaking Bad because they talk about Breaking Bad in this book. So Elle Kennedy's writing in the deal could make me do literally anything. Anything. So Garrett Graham. I couldn't think of any other ones really, to be honest, of like fictional crushes, which is weird because like I used to have a lot, but I feel like I really got the heavy hitters last year, like the Sarah J. Maas, you know? Maybe, no, I literally have not read a single Throne of Glass book this year. I've been saying I'm gonna finish that series for literally forever. Next is Book That Made You Cry, which 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. This is kind of an oldie but a goodie, at least I believe so. Like, it was popular a while ago. I posted a TikTok and a short at the beginning of the year pretty much, saying that I wanted to read some books that were gonna like make me feel something. Like, I want to get hit in the heart, okay? Because I felt like I was reading all these like shallow romances that were like great entertainment and like quality books, but they weren't like, you know when you read a book and you like close it and you're just like, oh my god, that's the feeling I wanted. And a lot of people recommended 1,000 Boy Kisses, so it was on Kindle Unlimited. I immediately snatched it up, and oh my god, did I cry so much, like over and over again. That book is like, looking back on it, I'm like, she really did that. Like, she did that. Tilly Cole, she knew what she was doing, and she did it. Heartstopper also made me cry. I didn't think it would, but it definitely made me cry. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think I mentioned this in a previous book. I think I mentioned this in a previous video, like not that long ago, but One True Loves made me sob. And it's also gonna jump into the category books that made me happy, because One True Loves tackles a topic that books do not tackle, which is the concept of and the ability to have more than one true love. And this book, obviously based on the title, really goes about that. So Emma marries her high school sweetheart, and they have a great little year together, and then he goes missing. Like, missing to where he is declared probably dead, because he's gone for years. So after years and years and years of grieving, not yours and yours and yours, but a little while of grieving, Emma starts to come to terms with the fact that Jesse is dead, and she meets this other guy and falls in love, and they're engaged, and Jesse comes back. And Emma has to decide, what is she gonna do? Because now both of her true loves are there. Amazing book. The ending, great. Also, the deal. The deal always makes me happy. Like I just said, it makes me want to like giggle and like kick my feet around. I also included ACOTAR because I reread it recently and I love ACOTAR. ACOTAR always makes me happy. Anytime I close ACOTAR, I am sad to be leaving that universe. That's how happy that book makes me. At the end of last year, when I finished the series and finished up Court of Silver Flames in October, I literally for weeks afterwards was mourning the loss of that universe. Like, I kid you not, I was texting my friend Margaret and I was like, I want to be there so bad. Like, I want to go sit in my car and reread ACOTAR over and over again because I miss it so bad. So it made me incredibly happy. The next question is the most beautiful book that I've bought so far this year. I don't have one. Sorry. Don't buy a lot of like pretty special editions. I wish I did. I really want to sign up for like a book box, but I don't want to spend the money. So sorry. And what books do I need to read by the end of the year? I want to read a couple classics. But other than that, I'm really not going to put too much of a label on like what I need to read. I want to read a Stephen King book. I recently started listening to the audiobook of Misery, so maybe I'll finish that. Honestly, I feel like any time that I've tried to like really be strict about what I'm going to read, I end up not enjoying reading as much. So I want to read books that I'm passionate about and books that I really feel connected to in the moment. So although I do have a couple goals for myself, I'm really just going to mood read and get my way to that 75 books. Honestly, with the rate I've been going at, I'm hoping to hit closer to 80. I did mention in a previous video I'd like to read some graphic novels. So actually, please leave your recommendations for graphic novels, classics, and your favorite Stephen King book. What a weird trio. In the comments below so I can check it out and potentially check out some of those books and help me finish meeting those goals. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I loved filming it and I love watching everybody's mid-year book tag. If you made one yourself, also please let me know down below so I can go watch it and we can all see what each other's faves have been so far this year. I will see you guys very soon, and yeah, bye.